Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, this is, believe it or not, this is the 17th year
I know.
of doing the show. And even though it started off way back in 2009 as a real estate show,
Yes.
it morphed into All Things Moore County, which I think is morphed into us having an opportunity to get to know a lot of people in Moore County, whether they're transplants or whether they're natives.
Yeah,
And
I can see that.
and you know how much we have focused on entrepreneurs, people who are transformational, people who are not afraid to put themselves out there. I mean, just as an example, Rachel Turacamo from CD's Plants.
She's all over the place.
But she's very impressive.
Yes.
And then we get a chance to know them on a personal level. And that's one of the great things about the show, because we always say that, you know, the statement of the show is that Moore County is a great place to live.
Yep.
Well, we have another reason today, and even though we're not speaking with an entrepreneur, we're going to be speaking with Judge Tron Ross of District 29, which for Hoke Moore County. And Tron is a native of Moore County, which is hard to come up with.
It is hard to find a true native of Moore County.
And just like we got to know Rachel last week on the show, her background and what got her to where she was and what prompted her to open the business that she did and the passion that she has. We kind of want to do the same thing with Tron. And Tron, we don't want to, first of all, say good morning.
Good morning.
And we don't want to sit here and undress you, but what we do want to do is kind of, because you went to Pinecrest High School.
I did.
You're a native of Moore County.
I am.
You grew up in Taylortown, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
And I'm always interested in how people evolve in their lives, how they get to where they are, what influences they had growing up. You graduated Pinecrest in 1989.
Yes.
Sorry to hear that because I graduated more than a decade before that, so I don't want to go there. When you got out of high school, what kind of direction did you have?
Well, when I got out of high school, I always wanted to be a lawyer.
You did?
I did.
You knew that at a young age?
I did know that at a young age. When I was like in 4th grade, I wanted to be a teacher because I love my teachers.
Same thing, right?
Right.
Both didactic.
Yep. And then by the time I got to high school, it started changing a little bit, and I wanted to be an attorney. And so that's what I went to school for when I went to UNC Charlotte.
Okay. Who were some of your early influences who were your role models that made you want to go in that direction?
Well, I didn't really even know a lawyer when I was growing up, but
Okay.
I always was interested in public speaking, and you saw lawyer shows on TV, and
That's
I
right.
always gravitated to those, and I just wanted to advocate for people. And I remember when I was in 8th grade, we had Miss West was our librarian, and she said, we're going to do a play, and we're going to show about the legal system. And we are going to have a prosecutor, a defender, and a judge. And I said, well, I want to be one of the lawyers. And there was one of my friends, his name was Lenny Cannell, and he said, you don't need to be a lawyer. You need to be a judge. And so I was a judge then, but I never really thought about being a judge. But that kind of like sparked my interest, just doing that play and learning about the legal system when I was in Pinehurst Middle School.
You said something very revealing in what you just spoke about. You said you wanted to advocate for others.
Right.
Why?
It's just always been a part of me. When I grew up, I grew up in a single parent home.
Okay.
My father passed away in a car accident when I was 4. and that had a profound impact on my life. And I always knew that anything could happen at any time, and somebody can be gone. And then you have a single parent mother who works very, very hard, and she was always such a kind person. She was always the one that made sure that you got everything you needed. She put us in all these activities. I was in debate club. I was, in dance, and I did all of those different things because she wanted us to succeed, since she had to do it on her own.
Right.
And so I think I probably got the bug kind of from her, because she always believed in people, and she wanted the best for people, and she wanted to always make sure they felt happy. And so anytime somebody came home to visit in my family or anything, they would always stay with us, because she just felt, no matter what their circumstance, because she just wanted to help others. And I think I kind of got the drive to want to help others from her. And just her being so kind to everyone, and no matter where they came from, that she would always welcome them in and try to help them make better of their life.
Yes, your mom obviously was a big influence in your life, and it doesn't matter how you're raised. It matters how you're raised. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It matters what kind of parenting and role modeling you get that help spur you on.
Right.
And it sounds like you got a lot of good structure
I did.
from your mom.
Right.
And somehow you learned the rules of engagement at a very young age.
Yeah, I did.
Well, that's not the case today with a lot of kids. There are a lot of kids who come from single-parent families. And, if they don't get through middle school in one piece, they can fall off the cliff. So at least having one parent who can set a standard for you. So you're forever grateful to your mom. I mean, she just called you before we went on the air.
She did.
And I immediately got the impression that the two of you have a very strong bond.
We really do.
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have two brothers.
Okay.
I have one brother who is...
You're the only girl?
I'm the only girl, and I was in
there
the
you
middle.
go. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you have two brothers.
I have two brothers. My youngest brother has passed away, but I still have my older brother.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And your mom lives close by?
She does. Yeah.
So in 1989, you graduated Pinecrest and you went to UNC Charlotte.
I did.
With an idea that you were going to go to law school?
Yes.
Okay.
My major was political science when I first got there, because that was my plan, to go to law school.
Okay. So you were one of those students that declared a major your freshman year but never wavered. You stayed with it?
Oh, definitely I wavered. I changed my major. After my first semester, I felt like I wasn't sure if political science was for me. I guess I'm more of a... I wanted to deal more with more of the social work aspect about people, and just learning more about people. So I took a social work class for my second semester, and I met Dr. Carlton Lene. She was a professor, and she came and spoke to our class, and she was vibrant and just passionate, and she just wanted to help others. And I was like, I'm changing my major. So after I listened to her speak, I changed my major to social work. So then that's how I finished out my major, my college career, as a social work major.
It's amazing how adults have such an impact on others.
They do.
Right? Those indelible impressions you get.
Mm-hmm.
And now here you are, probably having the same effect on others as well. You mentioned your penchant for public speaking. You're obviously a great communicator, so you probably have an opportunity to interact with students, younger, and you, in fact, become a role model to them. So you went to law school.
I did.
And you practiced as an attorney for how long, and what type of law did you practice?
I started out practicing law with Bill Wilson's office in Sanford. That was my first job.
Okay.
And that was private practice, and it was a general practice firm, so I did all types of law, from criminal to civil, juvenile, all types of things. And that's what I was doing when I was just learning. And then I went out on my own, and I practiced on my own for, I would say about 16 years in my own private firm, and I had a private practice as well, also a general practice. So I did wide-ranging areas of law. My mom actually worked with me for 15 of those years that I was in private practice.
Okay.
She was like my
Your paralegal.
my paralegal / legal assistant / everything.
Okay.
She was definitely a support system for me. So,
Did you find that you had a passion for one area over another? Did you gravitate towards? Were you empathetic to one area over another, or people? Where did it kick in for you? I mean, did you do family law?
I did do family law. I did some divorces and some custody cases.
Okay.
It kind of found me though. I did a lot of juvenile work, juvenile delinquency work. I wanted to help kids. That's always been a passion of mine, to help children. And I did a lot of that court. And people used to always say, why don't you go and do like abuse and neglect court? You'd be great at that. And so the Lee County Department of Social Services reached out to me, and they had an attorney, but they needed somebody like as a backup. And they asked me as if there were conflicts of interest. So they asked me to help them out. And so I did that on a contract basis. So I started doing abuse, neglect, and dependency cases where the purpose is try to preserve the family. And if you can't preserve the family, then at least find like adoptive placements or a custodial placements for kids. And so that's what I started doing. And then it just kind of gravitated year after year until I did it for about 15 years. So.
Is it hard to go home at night in those 15 years working with those type of cases where you don't take it home with you, where you see the dysfunction that's kind of out there that some people have to live with? Everybody has a different definition of normal, but you probably got to see the underbelly of that more than most.
I really did. And it's difficult at times. It's very, very challenging because you want to really, because there's a lot of people who have a lot of issues. They have a lot of problems, and sometimes their lack of services to deal with those problems. So you day in and day out, you see children that are harmed, and you want to make everything better for them. You see families that are in dispute, or families who are in trouble, and people who have drug addiction, mental health issues. All of those things are involved in that type of court. And you do your best to try to give hope to people and listen to their story and make sure that you do everything you can to try to preserve that family. But if you can't, you just have to focus on what the best interests of the children are.
And you have children of your own.
I do.
Two daughters?
I have 2 daughters.
How old are they?
I have a 30-year-old daughter and I have a 20-year-old daughter.
What?
I do.
Seriously?
Yes, seriously.
Okay.
Yes.
And tell me what they're doing, because obviously my guess is your relationship with them is probably very similar to yours with your mom.
That is correct.
Right.
My oldest daughter is 30 years old, and she went to Union Pines High School and went to NC State and played softball. Okay. And she taught at Pinecrest her first 5 years out of college. Okay. And she coached softball as well there. So she was, an integral part of the community here. And now she teaches in Wake County. And she has taught there for about 4 or 5 years. So she's about to get into her 10th year teaching, and she absolutely loves it.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And your youngest daughter? My
youngest daughter, she is a student at North Carolina A&T.
Okay.
And she plays volleyball, and she's studying broadcast journalism. She wants to be a sports analyst.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So you got from your mom what you've given to your 2 daughters. But still, I mean, the lessons that you learn through your 15 or so years of experience, your daughter's got the benefit of being raised right. It seems.
That's what we worked. My husband and I, we worked really, really hard to, give our daughters every opportunity and to help them learn how to serve others and to help people and to, just be good people. That was just our main thing. And so I practiced in my own business for 15 years, but then I worked for the county for 10 years after that. So, because I've been, before I became a judge, I've been an attorney for over 26 years. So,
Okay. Well, let's come back in the second set. Want to talk about your experiences as a judge. Want
okay.
to talk about your dad, who you mentioned in the first set.
Okay.
My guess is Judge Tron Ross, District 29, Moore and Hoke counties. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our second set of All Things Moore County. Judge Tron Ross is our guest out of District 29, which is Moore and Hoke counties. We've been trying to talking a little bit about her background and her ascension into where she is today. You mentioned in the first set that when you said you were raised in a single-parent family, I immediately went to divorce. But that wasn't the case.
No.
Your father passed when you were just a child.
Correct. He was in a car accident.
Do you have many recollections of him?
I do. I have a few memories where he was holding my hand and taking me from my house to my grandmother's house. I have a few memories where he was holding me and things like that. So those are just, like some basic things about him spending time with me. Those are my memories.
So, not having a father growing up, yet he still seemed to have a very strong influence on your life.
Yes, he did.
Can you get into that a little?
Well, he was always such a hard worker. I remember that. We had a shop behind our house, and he used to be an auto mechanic. And so he was like working from sun up to sundown. He was just always working. And I remember we used to go to the drag strip in Rockingham, and I would sit on top of the car, and I would watch him do that. And so those were some really, really good memories. And he used to always treat me so special. So I just, when he passed away so suddenly, I always wanted to make him proud. So I always think about him.
When you met your husband, did he remind you of your dad?
In a lot of ways, because he is such a hard worker.
Yeah.
And he is a country boy, and he is so mannerable, just a kind, good-hearted person. He's social. He gets along with everybody. And there was just something about him when I first met him, and I was thinking, I think this might be my husband. I wasn't sure at the time because I was very, very young, but just there was something about him, just his integrity, his kindness, his work ethic. Those were and he loved sports, and I love sports too. So those were kind of things that we had in common, and I just felt like he was the one from the beginning.
Yeah, well,
he's from Moore County too.
Is he?
Yes.
Well, we're gonna talk about sports as well, but I'm guessing that your mother told you lots of stories about your father.
She did.
Growing up,
yes.
About his character, his integrity, his ethic,
right.
And that probably as much as your recollections of him formed an image.
That's right.
A motivating, like an engine that carried you forward, right?
Right.
And I'm sure at your high school graduation, your mom probably said Dad would be so proud, that type of thing.
That type of thing, yes.
Is that right?
That is right, yes.
And you mentioned both your daughters active in sports, softball and volleyball, but
right.
You were too.
I was, yes.
You were a jock.
Yeah, I guess you could have called me that.
Pretty
yeah,
much, right?
Pretty much, yeah, because I played volleyball, basketball, and softball when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And then I played volleyball and basketball when I was in college. So
did you really?
I did, yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, I have to switch gears, how do you get from being an attorney to morphing into being a judge? How does that whole process work?
Well, in my particular case,
yeah.
It was a great opportunity that came available. A judge had moved up and had won an election for the Superior Court judgeship, and so there were 2 years left on his term.
Okay.
And as soon as I found that out, I just it popped in my head. And I said to myself, I think that that would be a great job for me. It would be a great way for me to use all of the things that I have learned over the years and to help people. And so from the very beginning, I felt like once that position became available, it was for me. And that's why I
Did somebody approach you and say, is this something you would want to consider?
Nobody approached me. I thought about it. It came open, and I talked to my husband and my family about it. And I told them that I was very passionate about, going for it because, just growing up in sports and just in my whole life, I've always been encouraged to if there was something that you want, then you just go for it and you do your best and you work hard and you can get it. And I felt like I had the skill set, all of the experiences that I had in all the different types of courts. I had worked in every single type of district court. I had been on the prosecution side. I had been on the defense side. I had an understanding of both perspectives, and I felt like this was a great time in my career to try this. And so the process is that the governor has to appoint somebody to fill that vacant seat.
Right.
And so initially they had a bar meeting for Moore and Hoke counties, and all the attorneys and judges got together. And they had to vote for 5 nominees to send to the governor for him to determine which one to choose, or he could just choose anybody off the list.
Right.
So they did a vote, and I put my name in. I took a chance on it because you only have one opportunity sometimes, and you just have to take it. And so I was number 1 on the list, and I was so humbled that my peers thought that much of me.
Wow.
I had worked so hard for so many years and got to know people and worked well with others. And they felt like that with my experience that I would, and all the other factors, my temperament and everything, that I would be the best person to send to the governor. So I had more votes. And so they picked me first, and then the governor had a process where, they had to do a background check. They had to make sure that you were okay and that they did an interviewing process and everything. And then the governor chose me in April of 2025. So
wow.
I felt very, very blessed and honored to be appointed. And I've been working as a judge for a little over a year now. So,
I've been in the real estate business for 26 years. And I've had 26 years of experience working with attorneys.
Okay.
I've appeared in court many times as a witness on divorce or real estate transactions. And my observation is that attorneys, as a general rule, are better listeners than most people in the public. They have to know how to listen and what to listen for. And people outside of that discipline talk all around stuff. They throw a lot of fluff out there, but there's always something key in the middle of all that fluff that you're trying to hear. Right. Is it true? I mean, your listening skills have to be superior to get to the crux of whatever it is that's being put in front of you.
That is definitely true. It is so, so very important to listen because you have to really know exactly what's going on with this person that you are defending, or this person that you are advocating for. It's important to know everything you can about what could possibly come up in the hearing. It's important to catch different key facts so you can determine credibility about all the things that go on in court. And so that's what I've learned at being an attorney is listening to people, because most people, all they want is to be heard. They want somebody to care about their story and feel like that they matter. And so when my clients used to come to my office, or when I used to prosecute cases and work for agencies, that was my first key thing, is to listen to their story and find out what's going on in their lives. And that's how I can prepare my case and get ready so that I can zealously advocate for my clients when I was an attorney.
Yeah. And you also probably have the ability, you obviously have the ability to separate the noise from the true elements of what's important.
Right. And they want to just talk about everything, because their feelings, how this makes me feel.
Well, forget about feelings.
Yeah, and they just want to just get it out.
Feelings are overrated. Right?
But that is so important to everybody, and sometimes you just listen to that, and then you have to break it down for them. We have to deal with the elements of this crime. We have to deal with what we need to do about this divorce, this property division. This is what we have to do about all aspects of whatever case that they have that I'm representing them for, and that's what I do as a judge. I have to go through all the facts and listen and try to determine what's relevant, because attorneys bring cases before me, and I have objections all the time about whether it's relevant to why we're even there. So it's just important to have that listening ear, and to weed through all of the facts to get to what the proper elements are.
And the same principles are as true in custody cases when it comes to kids.
Right. Mm-hmm. When it comes to kids, it's so very important. You have to stay focused on the children, because there are a lot of issues, between the parents, and you have to make sure that you are listening to the children and what is in their best interest. That's very, very important.
Are there cases where, the children don't always get to communicate, right? It's their attorney. I'm not quite sure how that works, but the children sometimes are too young to participate.
Right, and the law says that at the age of 10 that the court can take their wishes into consideration. Sometimes kids younger, both parties agree that it might be good to hear from those kids, just to the judge can get an idea of what's going on from their perspective. So that happens as well. And then you have older kids who kind of know what they want, and they want to be heard, and they want to be a part of the process.
Right. I guess you keep a really good attitude after being exposed so much to so many situations where people probably have the wrong formulas, and they manifest themselves at maybe the end of a marriage, a custody battle, behavioral issues that pop up that go way back.
Yeah.
And yet you have to go home at night and smile and love your kids and see your husband, and you're able to separate the two.
Sometimes, I think sometimes you need to vent when you get home too, to
I
talk
bet.
about different things.
Oh, I bet.
And my husband is kind enough to listen to me, and my children too sometimes. But I'm just an optimist. I believe in people, and I want to learn about people. I want to try to help people. It's just a part of me. And sometimes you listen, and you just want to try to, as a judge, you have to make a decision that's best for everybody. You have to follow the law. You have to listen to everybody's perspective and try to come up based on what comes before you. What is the best way to handle this situation so that everybody involved will have the best chance of success? And those are very, very important things that I take seriously before I go into every single case. And it takes me a long time to do things. I was up very, very late last night, and I worked all day on an order, because it's important for me to read through different factors that people presented to me, to read through my notes from court, and to make the decisions that are just in the best interest of the children. And so in whatever other types of cases that might come before me. And I am just blessed to have a family that will allow me to do the things that I want and to listen to me too.
Very well said, John. We're going to come back in the third set of All Things Moore County and continue our conversation with Judge Tron Ross. Welcome back to our final set with Judge Tron Ross, getting a really good perspective on her outlook, her philosophy, her experience as an attorney and as a judge, growing up in Moore County. And, one thing, Tron, I didn't realize was both you and your husband, you've taken your sports to another level, because both of you are active in coaching today in the community that you live. What kind of sports do you coach?
Well, my husband, he was a football player too, and he did all different kinds of sports in high school as well, and played football in college.
Yeah.
So we started coaching even before we got married and had kids, and we always coached basketball and softball, t-ball, volleyball, you name it, we coach it, because sports are so very important to our family and to our development as people.
Yeah, and it's another form of mentoring kids, because sometimes, you look at the first tee. We've had the first tee on often, and it's a great organization because they use the game of golf as a hook to teach kids discipline, responsibility, honesty, fair play, and these are lessons you can apply to your life as you go. But sports is the hook. Right.
And teamwork. You meet people that you wouldn't otherwise have met, and you work together with them. And, we thought it was so important. We've had really good coaches in our lives that we still interact with today. They've taught us so many different lessons, and we're just so involved in the community, and we're always at the school doing things and coaching these kids. And like, we have kids that are in their 30s that we still, we go to their weddings, we spend time with them because we just have bonded with them so much, because it was so important. And I guess we learned it from our coaches too. Like, we have coaches that coached us in high school that go see our kids play, and we go see the kids that we coach play, and they've learned so much. You learn so much in sports, and it's important for us to give back what people have given to us.
I have to make an observation. When I was a kid growing up in the 60s, I would watch Divorce Court on TV. I would watch, like you said, some of these law shows.
Yes.
And the judges always appear to me to be really uppity, really elitist, almost not compassionate, stuck up, and I always thought a judge was like an evil person who was just going to make a ruling, and that's that. And then as a kid in high school, I used to caddy all the time. And one of the guys I caddied for in northern New Jersey was a very well-known judge in Bergen County, New Jersey, and very well-known. And I remember I'd go home and tell my father, I was like a sophomore in high school, about my experiences with the adults I was caddying for, why I liked some, admired some, and why I didn't. Well, this gentleman, this guy that was a judge, I didn't like him. Mm-hmm. And I felt bad. I didn't like him, but he was really stuck up, and it's like he was still a judge on the golf course, making all the rules for the foursome, and, his word was the last word, and that's that. And I said to my father, I'm not sure why I don't like him, but I just don't. Mm-hmm. And my dad said, just trust your instincts. Keep your mouth shut, but trust your instincts. And there was that image of judges that I had as a kid growing up, but talking to you, I'm not getting that impression at all.
No, people have told me that before. They would never think that I was a judge when they see me, because I don't have it like written on my face, because
That's
people
right.
have always I guess they think, well, judges are, they're, standoffish. They're up there.
That's
they
right.
don't care about the people or anything like that. But
That's right.
That's just not who I am. I am a person that, I'm the judge for the people, and, I represent people in my community. And it's kind of the same thing with my husband. He was a trooper, and, he's in the uniform, and he retired, from that now. But, people always see him as these stern figures and that they're unapproachable, but we've never been that way. We've always been involved with people, and people don't see us as people that are unapproachable or people that don't care, because we truly do care.
And today, I mean, in the real world, families for different cases who have to go to court, they're nervous.
Right.
Maybe they've never been in that environment before,
right.
and it can be intimidating.
Right.
I mean, I know I've been involved in the sale of a lot of homes through divorces, and I've been to hearings, and one or both parties are usually very intimidated and nervous about the outcomes of what's going to happen, the rulings that come down. So you have to sort of make it like it's not a a life sentence. It's an open conversation, and you want to hear
Right.
their side of the story.
And that's kind of the environment that I try to create, because
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of it, and I know, like, representing clients, and I know how nervous they are before they come into court.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very difficult to be in that setting, and then to have a person who won't listen to you or don't make it comfortable for you to tell your story is very, very difficult. So I remember that every day then when I go into court, because it's so important. Court is very important because there's serious issues that come in there, and you need people who care about listening and care about doing the right thing.
And you need, I guess, attorneys who can put their client's mind at ease and help manage their expectations. The antithesis of that is my cousin Vinny with
Right.
Fred Gwynn and Joe Pesci
Yes.
and Marissa Tomei.
Mhm.
That was fun.
That was
And
fun.
he said, is that really how a court works? No.
No, it's not.
But it was worth a good laugh.
Right.
But
right.
somewhere in the middle, there's
there is somewhere
there's
in the
something
middle.
that actually becomes a decent human experience.
Right.
And as a mother, and as a wife, and as a daughter, you obviously have compassion in all different directions for different generations.
Right.
So that has to come out in the way you respect the process
Right.
with people.
Right. And it's very, very important. And so when people come into court, I don't want them to think, oh my God, I
Yeah.
don't have a chance, or
Right.
it's so scary. They're going to yell and scream at me all the time. It's not about that. It's about coming in to court and having somebody listen to you, to respect you,
Yeah.
to follow the law, to do what's right.
Yeah.
And that's just what I try to impart every single day before I go into the courtroom. And it's just so important to me to help my community. I've been a part of Moore County. I love being here. I've worked most of my entire life in Moore County. I've lived almost my entire life in Moore County.
Yeah.
And I've had great connections in Hoke County. The people are so nice to me and so kind. And it's the same thing, small town community. And I've been helped by so many people in this community through school and through my family and stuff. And it's just so important to me to give back to that.
Yeah, it comes through in everything that you say. I guess one of your goals each year, each season, each week is to be able to sleep well at night.
Right.
And know that you've done the best of your ability, the best for all parties involved, even though not maybe every party would perceive it that way. You want to be fair. You want to you want to sleep well at night. Put your head in the pillow and fall asleep.
That's right.
Do you ever have a hard time doing that?
Not much.
Yeah, I was going to
because-
say the correct answer is no. I don't have a hard time doing that.
Because I truly consider everything.
That's right.
I consider victims. I consider people who may have been, the perpetrator of a crime. I consider the prosecution side. I consider the defense side, because I take this job seriously. It's not about me. It's not about, the position. It is about doing what's right. And it's important to try to at least make it so that the world can be a better place. Like I told you earlier, I am an optimist, and I want people to have a chance in life. I want people to get better, do better, and be happy. And I think that I can do that. And I look back at what, at my 18-year-old self, and I think about how I was when I was 18, and
Yep.
I was, bright-eyed, and I was going to conquer the world. And, and I would tell my 18-year-old self is that you can conquer the world. You're going to go through ups and downs, and you're going to struggle, and there are going to be some bad times, but just hang on in there.
That's right.
You can do it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to pivot
Right.
is not just in basketball.
That's right.
It's in life.
in life.
And I played b-ball, and I know. I mean,
Yeah.
and I tell people all the time, you've got to be able to pivot
Yes.
and turn on a dime
Mhm.
and keep moving, because change is part of life.
Life, yeah.
And I mean, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I used the expression that sometimes you see people and they're in a court situation for whatever reason, and I say to myself, they probably had the wrong formulas where they were growing up. They didn't get the right lessons as a kid, and it manifests itself later in life, and they were raised on the wrong formulas. It seems to me like you're highly focused on making sure everybody has the right formulas to be, if not happy, to be satisfied, because happiness is temporary.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely I'm trying to find that formula for people who come in there.
I see.
Because if you learn the right way, then you might not have to come back, and so it's just important.
In closing, one quick question. What would you tell aspiring students today, on their way to college, who think they may want to get involved in political science or history, and then possibly law school? What kind of advice would you give kids today?
I would tell them that it's very important that you work hard.
Yeah.
It's very important that you stay focused on your dreams and what you want to do with your life.
Yeah.
I would tell you that you can do it. There's nothing in this world that you can't do.
Right.
I would have never thought I would be a judge today, and sometimes I pinch myself and I say, it was just, thank God that, I was given this opportunity.
Yeah.
And so even when you are struggling and don't feel like you can do it, you can.
Yeah.
There is my coach, I was just talking to her recently. She used to always say, give 110%. And she pushed us to give the 110%. But, some people say, well, there's only 100%. But I know what she means, because sometimes when you feel you can't go any further, you can. And there is another 10% out there, and that can take you places you never thought that you could go.
You sound like a life coach.
We do a lot of coaching, so.
You sound like a life coach.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to have you on, and look forward to seeing you down the road. And I was very grateful to some friends of mine who had introduced me to you, to have you come on and talk. Great story that you have.
Thank you so much for having me.
I
appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Judge Tron Ross was our guest, and local native, Moore County resident, and a life coach is what I'm going to walk away with today.
Thank you.
This is All Things Moore County. Everybody have a great week.